The AEW locker room is upset with Andrade. Plus, we have details behind the scrapped Mask versus Korea match on Rampage and an update on a major future WWE prospect. It is all in the wrestling news right now. Andrade El Idolo has been the talking point of the wrestling world this week. He and Sammy Guevara had a showdown on Twitter and then a showdown in real life. Stories about how that's gone down have varied depending on the source that you speak to. The Wrestling Observer this morning adds, the problem is that Andrade and Sammy's fight made AEW look like out of control chaos at a time so shortly after the CM Punk, Young Bucks and Kenny Omega situation. Privately, some of the key talent is even more upset with Andrade than they would be otherwise because of the timing of this happening. Andrade being fully aware of it and how this made the company look to the public. The timing of this was pretty rotten because we're still reeling from Punk's muffin flavored explosion at All Out.
Yeah, I think we maybe even talked about this yesterday, but yes, as everything just seems to sort of be calming down from all that, all the fallout from that, this goes and happens.
Yes, and and there is still more to come from CM Punk's muffins pop and name drop from AEW All Out's press conference, and this does not help things. And a certain talent backstage who won't be named, very unhappy because the timing of this is pretty rotten. Most people believe, the Observer goes on to say, that Andrade was trying to get fired to return to WWE. One of the major issues with Tony Khan's decision not to release people to go to WWE, just as WWE would not do so with many in the other direction, is that some will concoct plans to get fired, particularly Andrade. The Observer also reports that a meeting was held discouraging talent from saying negative things about the product on Twitter. This happened before what happened with Andrade and Sammy on Wednesday. Andrade, having been in that meeting, according to sources close to the Observer, just carried on doing it anyway.
He knows what he's doing, doesn't he?
Now, if there's a little bit more on sort of the and how the lines get blurred here when we talk about the match that we were meant to see tonight on Rampage, which was Andrade versus Press 10 from the Dark Order, Mask versus Korea, and if Andrade lost, he'd be gone from AEW. Wrestling Observer once again saying that there's a bit of reality in how this was put together.
Yes, so the Observer here is saying AEW and Andrade both wanted to take advantage of the publicity that he wanted out, thinking that this was the story to write him out. So Andrade even joked about the idea he might lose the match on purpose so he could leave. The idea was it had to happen this week because people will move on from the Andrade wanting out story very quickly. So it was an angle playing off real life social media as opposed to playing off what had been built up on television. Now, one source also tells the Observer that Andrade told management that he wasn't leaving and that he pitched for the Korea match to take advantage of people who believed he was leaving. So, of course, in this situation, he could double cross the company and make them look foolish, but he supposedly was not going to do that.
We're in very messy waters here if this is
very
the case.
Messy waters.
If you're going, hey, people really think this, let's play on something that people really think is happening on the telly, and I'll play along.
And from what we heard reports before, he said he'd play along, nothing happening backstage either as well, right? Between he and Sammy Guevara. Part of me feels like perhaps if this match did go through tonight, we would be seeing something happen.
They would do something
perhaps historic in wrestling.
Do you reckon they would? I kind of feel like they would turn the shoot into a work and then work back into a shoot. Brother.
Perhaps if Andrade did do the thing where he was like, oh, maybe I'll lose the match. Who knows? So I can get out. Down. I wonder if then something would get reversed in terms of that happening. And
the thing is as well, I kind of feel like there's the one thing that makes me think this was never part of the plan is it really overshadows what Rampage tonight is all about. It's the anniversary of Brody Lee's last match.
Yeah.
And I feel like if you're going to have that match, which is celebrating the life and times of Brody Lee, and is entwined with Brody Lee's legacy as part of the Dark Order, it kind of just becomes about like, oh, Andrade just going to lie down, haha, what a fun. It's just it takes away what the match is meant to be about if you do it that way. What we've got instead is a trios match where I would not be surprised if somehow the Dark Order become trios champions.
I really hope so. I really hope so. They deserve it.
I feel
tenfold.
like it's a bit of a make good. I feel like
me too.
We'll see what goes down. Roosh seems to be tweeting in solidarity with Andrade throughout all of this one, as the La Faction Incognorables, I pronounced that right. Shut up. Are standing together. He tweeted an image of himself, Andrade, and Jose the assistant, with the caption "Ingobernable forever." Why can't I pronounce that?
You've nearly got there. Ingobernable.
Ingobernable. What have I learned in the last 3 days that has pushed out the word ingobernable? Have I learned a new setting for the toaster that's pushed that out? So showing some support for his tag team partner in that one. We'll just talk a little bit about Rampage a little bit more, because Jim Ross talked about Rampage as a show in general on Grilling JR. He said Rampage is a high priority right now within the confines of AEW. We want to make this Friday night show good and build a loyal audience, and I think we're going to do that. I really do. I enjoy the opportunity. I did the show with Excalibur and Shivani, and I love it. I just loved it. We have so much fun. When you cut your roster of announcers down to 3, everything becomes more manageable. You're not driving in so much traffic, and that was the goal there. So from JR's perspective, it was good because there was less commentators on there. Yep. But as you say, the thing there, them saying Rampage is a high priority, I think it needs to be, because they really built up this show to be like a second show for Dynamite. I don't think it's really hitting the mark the way they hoped it would.
No, we've had glimpses of things. Well, we've had really good Rampage shows before as well that kind of just demonstrates that it can be its own thing. And also, rather than just be, it's just a 1 hour wrestling show, we don't really get too much stuff happening on it, this, that, and the other, kind of like, maybe we don't need to watch it within the canon of everything else that's going on. But that's not the case. I think recently they've definitely built things up a little bit more, and to see it going forward and to have its separate identity as well, I think that's more than a good thing for AEW. And I like Jim Ross on Rampage as well. I like a 1 hour show. I think that suits him a lot better these days.
He's less sleepy.
Yes, he is less sleepy.
He's less sleepy. We're going to end on some WWE flavoured news, an update on a major prospect for the company going forward. Who are we talking about, Andrew?
We're talking about Gable Steveson, Tom.
Oh, I remember him.
You remember him? So ESPN has been reporting that Gable Steveson is now training full-time at the WWE Performance Center after undergoing a heart procedure last month. So Steveson underwent surgery to tweet.
That's how they do surgery now.
They do these days. They do.
You can DM a medicine.
He underwent surgery to treat Wolff-Parkinson-White, WPW syndrome, which causes your heart to beat abnormally. And he had that treated last month. Now recovered, he is reported to the PC for full-time training under the guidance of Fit Finlay. That's really exciting.
Oh, to be under Finlay in that regard. I think that's a great start for Gable Steveson.
Steveson tells ESPN that the condition was discovered in 2021 prior to his competing in the Olympics in Tokyo, but that he did not undergo the ablation until WWE's medical team guided him through a process, recommending top cardiologists. In a statement, Triple H said, "We're glad to see that Gable is healthy and training full-time at our performance center in Orlando."
Maybe Gable Stevenson's the White Rabbit.
I don't know if that'd be a good idea.
Takes his head off and his little rabbit with a twitchy nose.
There's just a group of them.
They're all
just like in Men in Black, where they are just all like the tiny head little rabbit people.
That's a lovely idea.
Why not?
Why
not do that?
Extreme Rules live reactions with Adam Pachisi and myself. It'd be lovely if you could call by and say hi. We'll do what happened after the show as well. And for the latest wrestling news throughout the day, you can check out Cultaholic.com. Keys!
Oh,